So now we're going to I'm going to walk you through how you can use R to tidy up your data, specifically how to go from wide to long. So I'm going to go to File, New Project. Actually, you can also do that here. Doing it as a project makes everything pretty tidy. So I'm going to call this wide to long as my directory. Create project. Now you can see my files. It's created a wide to long project. Anything that I access or save, it will save it in the same directory that was just created. Now you want to make a new script. We'll go ahead and try saving that. We'll just call it wide to long. And now we've got our script. So you want our script file. You want to always type in here and comment, because what's nice is that no matter what you do, if you don't need to remember how you got to the results that you did. It's all typed right here. Now, if you haven't installed TidyVerse, you'll want to do that. So first you can comment. Once you've installed it on your computer, you don't need to do it again. So you may not want this in the code, but you can always comment it out. Now, to run this code, you can press Command Return, or you can highlight and then run the code. I prefer to just Command Return. It's easier. So now you can see in the console it's running. And it's downloaded and installed. I'm going to comment this out because I don't really need to do this again. Once you've installed the packages, you can close out, you can come again in another 2 months, doesn't matter. It will still be there if you're on the same computer. So I'm going to get rid of that. So now what we're doing is we want to load the library. So it doesn't load all of the libraries that we have on our computer. That would just be way too much information. So we need to tell it, load the library, TidyVerse. And I go ahead and I load that. Now everything that's in TidyVerse will be used. It was written by Hadley Wickham, who also wrote the tidying data. And we'll just go through some key things here to go from wide to long. So in your files, you're going to want to place the raw gradebook and the assignments into your file, the same directory. If you have any other files, you also want to place those in the same directory. Now what we're going to do is we're going to read the CSV. So let's go ahead, and when you read it, let's say read CSV, and you put the file name in quotes, raw gradebook.csv. It just reads it into the console. Well, we don't really want to read it into the console. We want to read it into a form that we can manipulate. So we're going to put it into a variable. So we'll call this English raw grades. So this little symbol here means putting it into a variable. So now we've got it read into a variable. Now you see in the environment there's data, English raw grades, 57 observations, those are columns of 136, or excuse me, those are rows of 136 variables, which are columns. That's why it's wide. We don't necessarily want 136 variables. Now we'll go ahead and do the same thing to the assignments. English raw assignments. And we're going to read the CSV in assignments data. Okay, and so that is a new thing. It's got 134 observations of 5 variables. Now, if we wanted to just get a glimpse at the English raw, now it will automatically finish that for you, so you can click. So you can actually see, okay, I've got 134 observations, assignment ID, and then these tell you what type of data that it's assuming it is: integer, factor, 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 or integer. So glimpsing or head is a really friendly way to just kind of see. Head just shows you the beginning bits of data, the top 6 rows. Now what we're going to do is we are going to change the raw grades from wide to long format using the TidyR function. And we probably want this to wrap around. Is that it? Where is my wrap? Well, I will get that text to wrap. Okay. So now I'm going to I'm going to write a function. I'm going to put it into a variable. So I'll call it English student points long. And don't do like me where I'm inconsistent. I should have put, I'll be consistent. There we go. So we're going to use the TidyR function, and gather is the function that changes it from wide to long format. So the first is, what is the data set that we're going to be using? So we're going to be using the ing raw grades. And then they want to know what columns. But since we're basically going to be doing all of the columns, we will do something a little bit special here. Let's go ahead and glimpse again. Now let's do head. Okay, so we've got, oh no, I want English raw grades. So we've got a lot. We don't want to list all of those columns. So we will write, we have to put the column titles in quotes, L1 quiz, and rather than listing all of the columns, we'll write 2. That means gather everything in between these 2 columns. Final exam writing. Then you need to write a key. And basically, this is asking, okay, for all of the columns, column names are going to become values. So what do we want that new column to be called? So these are all assignment titles. So it's going to be called assignment title, and value, which is the points that were earned in each of these cells, we'll call points earned. Okay, and that is how you gather data. So we'll run that, no errors, and now we have a new variable with 7,638 observations of only 4 variables. So what we can do is go ahead and export this so you can look at it in Excel. So first, we'll just take a peek at this data set. Okay, so you see the title, and then you see how it's taken that and put it as a value in the column assignment title. So now we're going to go ahead and write the CSV, and that way we can just take a look at the whole data set. So the first is, what is the data set? So it's going to be in student points long, and then the file name, and I just put the same file, the same data. Make sure you put CSV, and then row names. We don't want row names. Actually, and that was just file, not file name. Let's go ahead and let's do that. That's because I needed to do false in all caps. I believe I was even prompted to do that and I didn't listen. Okay, no errors there. Now we've got this. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my little file thing. And this is what we just created. So you can see the empty values, meaning there was no submission, got NA. So you can look and see that there's a lot of data. And then you basically just can scroll through and see if anything looks a little wrong to you. Now, something that you might want to consider too is that there is a lot of NA data. It could be that something that you want to do is either filter out before, or maybe you'll just filter out students who have not progressed yet. Because this is a data set, this particular data set that I'm modeling with, have students that are halfway through the course and have students that are all the way through the course. So there's going to be a lot of missing data versus the Intro to Web data set has a pretty much full set of data. That is how you go from wide to long. Make sure you save, and then when you close out, all you need to do is find your project, double click on your project, and it will open up just like this. You can highlight and then rerun the same data set without having to remember. I will go ahead and upload this particular R package for you to download as well.